While touching on a particular story now, Africa's growth trajectory is projected to remain above 5% in the year 2014, with West Africa representing the continent's largest business opportunity. Now tomorrow, WEF Abuja kicks off in Nigeria, with regional and global leaders discussing innovative restructural reforms and investments that can sustain the continent's growth. Earlier, CNBC Africa's Bronwyn Nielsen spoke to Wale Tinubu, who's the CEO of Oando PLC, that's the oil company, and began by getting his thoughts on Abuja's first hosting of the World Economic Forum.
Well, it's certainly an exciting time for the country, and it's a great time for the WEF to be here. And we're looking forward to receiving all the guests and commencing a very, very interesting 3 days.
Well, your relationship with the World Economic Forum goes back a long way. I know in 2008 you joined the Partnership Against Corruption initiative, and this is very close to Oando's heart. Can you tell us a little more about that initiative and how you are tackling it in Nigeria?
I think that it's an interesting initiative in which businesses look towards being able to operate in a corrupt-free environment. And I think one of the key things that we've pushed right from Davos has been to increase in transparency. For example, we do much better as economies when there's transparency in the grant of awards and the grant of business opportunities. For example, we saw in Nigeria when we had a transparent bidding process for the GSM licenses, and we've ended up with 120 million lines and over $35 billion of capital invested in our sector. So it's something which we look forward to and which we drive, and I think the rest of the colleagues in the forum, we have quite a lot of sign-ups for the session, and we look forward to that session as well too.
Another big theme when we spoke in Davos was economic inclusion. What is Oando doing when it comes to economic inclusion? We know that in Nigeria, 100 million people of the 170 million in the country live below the breadline.
Yeah, and I think we do quite a bit of that in terms of being good corporate citizens. I mean, we pay over 20 billion naira a year to contribute to the tax base. We have a foundation where we've adopted over 80 schools, which we focus on. I mean, our big thing has been to focus on education, particularly at a primary school level. Literacy is critical to us, and we have a very ambitious plan towards adopting schools everywhere where we do business. Everywhere we have a petrol station or a pipeline or a rig functioning, we'll take over the school next to us. We refurbish it. It becomes one of ours. Same way you'd adopt a child is the way we adopt a school. And we're increasingly spreading that same concept, and we look forward to being able to partner with other corporates in the rest of Africa, raise capital, match our grants with others, and export our model.
Wale, give me an update on the privatization of the Nigerian oil industry. How is that going?
I think it's an ongoing process. There's quite a bit that has been already privatized and liberalized. I think the last bus stop really is that of the refineries, which has proven to be quite emotive in the past. But I think it's quite clear that something needs to be done towards ensuring we had a public-private sector partnership on the refining side, as well as encouraging the construction of private refineries within the country.
ConocoPhillips, we chatted about the deal, which will be the biggest done by an African oil company on the continent. The deadline has now been moved to the end of June. You are waiting for regulatory approval. Any further status update?
Other than we are being extremely good and careful to ensure the regulators can approve our transaction, and we are quietly confident and look forward to that conclusion to the transaction, and we stand ready to close right afterwards.
So you don't perceive any further challenges to the deal coming to fruition?
No, not commercial challenges, not financial challenges. I think we do just have to wait for the public sector to play its own role.
Talking about the public sector, the petroleum industry bill is another issue that we've chatted about repeatedly. Any developments on that front?
I think there's certainly a reawakening. I know that the House of Parliament, the Senate, and the Reps have been looking at final readings of the law, and it's something which we need. It's something which the industry needs to put to rest, because it's a whole codification of all the regulations in our petroleum sector, and for for the sort of investment which we require for the next phase in the development of our industry, we need certainty, and that's what that law gives us. Fiscal certainty, commercial certainty, regulatory certainty. So we do look forward to that being passed.
In the search for energy in Nigeria, I think the stat is that half of the Nigerian population does have access to electricity, although that is not, it's interrupted supply of electricity, and the other half of the Nigerian population live in complete darkness. The flaring of gas has long been an issue that's been discussed in Nigeria. I think Nigerian oil companies and international companies have potentially been flaring gas for almost 3 decades now, but this is changing. Where are we with utilizing gas to produce energy?
Majority of the multinationals today have zero flare down policies. There's probably some old fields that still have technology that needs to be upgraded to do that. But all the new designs are coming with zero flare down technical specifications. One thing is clear, the opportunity is very large. There's an abundant amount of gas. The infrastructure is what we need to build out on, which we continue to build out on, to be able to deliver gas to the locations where it's required from the Niger Delta. I'm excited about the power reform that has gone on. Now the distribution companies are in the hands of the private sector. The generation companies are in the hands of the private sector. And we now have an enabling environment where private sector capital can develop new plans. So indeed, that half that doesn't have electricity is a question of time.